Hey Scouts, Dallas here with another scouting and home video from the Dan Beard Council. Today we're going to talk about origami. Origami is simply put folding paper, and I'm going to show you 3 projects that you can do. Fold some paper, we'll make a couple of cool things, and then we'll make a little piece of art, a little animal that we're going to fold up. But first, let me share with you this terrifying scenario, see if you can follow along. Imagine that you've gone camping with your pack or your den. You got your tent set up. Everybody's kind of hot and sweaty from doing that, and you're kind of just looking for something refreshing. Your cub master, being the awesome person that he or she is, breaks out a big jug of cold lemonade and says, "All right, Scouts, come and grab your lemonade, and make sure you bring your cups." Because, you know, we don't have any cups out here, but I told everyone to make sure they brought a cup along with them, and I'm sure every one of you did. And then you're like, uh-oh, I did not bring a cup. I know I didn't. I know right where it is. It's sitting on my kitchen table. You rummage through your backpack, and you'll find a cup, but you do find a notebook that you brought to write some stuff on or play some games. So now, if you follow along with this next little bit of video that we have here, you will learn how to make your own lemonade cup out of a piece of paper. An origami drinking cup, that's right. So let's check that out. All right, so let's walk over here to our picnic table where we have a nice flat surface so we can make our origami paper cup. I trust that you have your piece of paper and it is a perfect square, because we need square paper to do origami. Oh, it's not a square, is it? It's a rectangle. Okay, no problem. We are ready to do this anyway. Let's learn how to take your rectangular piece of paper and turn it into a square so we can actually do some origami. All right, let's look at that first. All right, so we are going to take a rectangular piece of paper and make a square out of it. Okay, as you can see, I just have a plain old piece of copy paper, blank on both sides. If you have some used paper that you just want to recycle anyway and you just want to practice, I would highly recommend do that. Save a tree. All right, so to make a square out of a rectangle piece of paper, we're going to use our good friend geometry. And without getting too far into geometric proofs, because I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear that, I can assure you that if we take this piece of paper and we fold it like so, like that, and we line this edge right here up along with this edge and make something like that, what we've basically done is made a couple of triangles here, okay? We have a triangle here, and we have a triangle here, and I'll show you even more of the triangle by folding this up here like that. So now, as you can see, we have a couple of triangles, and like I said, our good friend geometry indicates to me that if we have 2 triangles like this, if we have this piece of paper open right here, it's going to make a square. So we don't need this extra paper over here, so you could break out your scissors if you'd like. What I like to do if I'm just messing around is just go ahead and fold that back over the other way so we have a nice sharp crease in there, and that's going to be a theme through a lot of these videos. We're going to make nice sharp creases, and the crease is just where the paper is folded. I like to use my thumbnail. Sometimes you could use a pencil if you'd like, just to keep that nice and tight there. And then what you can do is just take that piece of paper and sort of very gently start up there at the top, and then you should be able to, just by holding that down, make a fairly clean cut, or rip in our case. And I do a little wonky there at the end, but that's okay. So now if I unfold these 2 triangles, we have made more or less, maybe not a perfect square, but a pretty close approximation. So that is how we take a rectangular piece of paper and make a square. Ah, there we go. Now we can make some paper cups with our square piece of paper. Let's do this. All right, so we've had a lemonade emergency. So we need to make a cup. Let's do this. All right, so I took the piece of paper out of my notebook, and I did the square thing we talked about just a couple minutes ago there. And so I made a nice square out of my notebook paper. So you're going to do this. Go ahead and take your piece of paper and turn it so you're looking at it so it's like a diamond, right? All right, and take the bottom part and fold it up to make a triangle. Very common origami move right there. All right, now we have a triangle. Our next part to make our cup is we're going to take this part of our triangle here, this point, and we're going to put it up here. Now the way I'm going to know where to put it is I want to form a nice triangle up here using this paper. I'll show you. It's easier to see than it is to explain. So we got this up here. I don't want it too far up here because while that's a nice looking triangle, it's not the kind of triangle I want. And way down here, also sort of a nice looking triangle, but not the one I want. I'm looking for something that looks just each side is the same length like that, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect, but closer we get, the better our final drinking cup's gonna be. All right, so we have this done. Now we're just gonna flip this over. Now this one's even easier. We don't have to figure out where to put it because we're gonna take this tip, this corner of the paper, and we're gonna put it in this corner of the paper over here. Once again, it's gonna make that nice triangle shape up here we're looking for. So we're gonna push this crease down here, and that's something we're gonna do throughout this entire video, is we're gonna keep pushing those creases down nice and tight. So the neater our origami is, the better the end product's gonna be, all right? So now we have this triangle up here, and it's got 2 flaps. You can see the 2 flaps here. We're gonna take the flap that's on this side, we're just gonna fold it down just like that. And if we were super neat, these would match up perfectly. We're pretty close. We're gonna flip it over, fold this triangle down in the same manner. And if you can imagine, that sort of looks like a drinking cup, right? Check it out. Now you can enjoy some lemonade, but you're gonna have to hurry because it is a paper cup. What you can do is grab another cup, or make another cup and put it down in there so you have a double layer cup, or you could use some thicker paper. So there you are, an origami drinking cup. All right, for our next project, we're gonna be making a paper balloon. That's right, a paper balloon. And at the end of that video, I'll show you a cool trick that you can do with that paper balloon as well. So grab your square piece of paper and let's learn how to make a paper origami balloon. All right, let's make an origami balloon. Okay, once again, I made the square of paper using the triangle technique that we learned before. So I just went ahead and ripped it off on the corner. So this one's already sort of, we're gonna start with the same crease we used to make our square paper. If you have a square piece of paper and you don't have that crease, what we're gonna do is just make a diamond shape so it's facing this way. And we have a nice diamond. And fold that up like that so we have a nice triangle. And then we're gonna spin it around so we have another diamond going the other direction. And again, fold it up like we have here. Nice triangle. Make that fold nice and sharp. Nice sharp crease there. All right, cool. So now we've got our triangles made. We're going to spin the paper this direction, and we're going to fold it up in half like this. There we go. So this was the inside of our paper. Now I'm going to flip it over. And this is a good time to talk about what a cool thing you can do when you make this balloon. So you have the outside of your paper here. You could decorate this with colored pencils or crayons or something you just have laying around the house. And when you get finished, you're going to have a cool decorative balloon instead of just a white piece of paper. White piece of paper is fine too for some other cool things we're going to do. But another thing I like to do, this is not official technique, but I like to go ahead and give this another fold here. It makes our next little thing a little bit easier. So we're going to take this and we're only going to be able to see these triangles here when we're done, these triangles here. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this here and we're going to fold it in like that. And we're going to fold this in like this. And so now we have a nice triangle. See what we did there? We push those in and just follow those creases until we have a nice triangle with some flaps. All right, so I'm gonna put that back down flat. We have some parts in here that I like to get a little bit flatter, so I'm just gonna push that down. And as I go, I'm kind of rushing through this, so you don't have to watch me sort of meticulously fold paper for an hour. But the neater you make your folds, the better off your final product's gonna be. So we're gonna take this flap of our triangle and we're gonna fold it up here and make yet another triangle. Going like that. And making that nice crease in there. Same thing over here. We're gonna fold this side up right to the center here. Make another nice triangle like that. All right. And as you may have suspected, we are yet again gonna flip it over here and take this piece, fold it into here. So we're lining this edge up with the center of our paper, which you'll be able to see because you have a crease in your paper. All right, it's all about triangles at this point. Another side here, we're gonna fold this one up in here. Make a nice triangle again. All right, very cool, very cool. Now, at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this away from me and I'm gonna start folding these points over here. So we have it like this, okay? You won't be able to fold these points in because it just won't work. So you'll know which ones to go to because it'll be the ones you can actually lift up. You have one on each side. So we're going to take this point here and bring it to the center of our paper, like so. Spin it around and do the same thing on this side. Make sure those creases are nice and we're getting everything lined up correctly. Then I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side of our soon-to-be origami balloon. Same thing here. All right, now we are almost finished, but we have one more step to go. You're going to find the part of your balloon that has sort of these loose flaps here like that. So one end will have the loose flaps that you can lift up. The other side, you'll be like, well, I can't do that, so it must be this end, all right? So now we're gonna take our flap here. I'm gonna take this edge and I'm gonna line it up with this part of the paper. And we're just gonna make a crease in it. So we're gonna fold that up here, put a nice crease in it so it's lined up. And the reason we're doing that is because that's gonna act as a guide to help me do the next step. So I'm gonna fold this back down and I'm gonna open this up a little bit here. And you'll see there's a little pocket right here. If you can't get your finger in there, you could use a sharp pencil or something like that to kind of poke that down in there. But you see there's a little pocket there. We're gonna take this flap that we just made and using that crease as a guide, sort of slide that up in there and tuck it into bed, go to bed. It's late. There we go. Same thing over here. And as you suspected, we're gonna do this 3 more times. So we made the crease to give us a guideline. I'm gonna open this up with my thumbnail. And then just slide that in there, just like so. Tuck it into bed, and I'm gonna go ahead and push all those down so they're stay nice and tight. When we inflate our balloon later, that will come in handy. All right, flipped it over. We're gonna do the same thing here. Crease, open, and good night. One more to go. With the crease. And if we're lucky, we did it without using a pencil or any implements. Tuck that right in there just like that. Aha! Now we are ready for the moment that you've been waiting for. This is where we're going to inflate our balloon. So if you'll look at this, the end we folded here, the opposite end, the top of the balloon, if you open this up a little bit, you can see maybe there's a hole in there. It's kind of hard to tell, but you'll see it. There'll be a hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm sort of going to open this up, and you won't be able to see this, but I'm going to just blow this up. I'm going to give it a good puff of air. Let's go. Whew. All right, here we go. So I just blew that right up there. And so I put some air in the middle of it to open the model up. So now all I have to do is sort of just straighten it up a little bit, squish it down, grab those corners, give it a little bit of loving to get it to look more and more like a balloon. You can work on it more. You can even blow into it again, sort of get it to where you want it to be whenever you're happy with it. So there we go, an origami balloon. And let me show you something really cool you can do with this. Guys, for our last origami project, we are going to make a beautiful origami crane. That's right, we're going to fold a paper crane. So once again, grab yourself a square sheet of paper and let's learn how to make this crane. All right, let's make an origami crane. Okay, for this one, I went ahead and got some origami paper. It's already cut into a square for me, as you can see, and it's colored on one side and white on the other. The reason I mention that is because we're going to want to start on a specific side of our paper. So when we're finished, our crane is going to have the colored pretty side of the paper facing out. Okay, so we're going to start by putting our paper face up with the colored side up. And I'm going to go ahead and make the triangle that we've used before by folding this up and trying to make the best triangle I can by matching all the edges up perfectly. Now for this one, I'm going to take a little bit more time than our past ones, because I want my crane to look awesome, and 2, as we start to make more and more folds, it's easier to work with the paper if you have everything that sort of matches up and it's nice and neat. Okay, so I made the triangle and I've opened it back up, and I'm going to do the same thing by spinning my paper I'm doing the similar triangle on the other side. So not bad. I think I'm happy with that triangle. And then we're going to unfold. Now we're going to flip our paper over, turn it so we're going to make a rectangle now. So we're going to lift the paper up here, match those corners up. If we can get those corners matched up as best we can, it's going to pay off in the future. So there we go, nice rectangle. And you're going to open that back up, turn the paper, and make another rectangle like that. And I'm going to leave this one. I'm not going to unfold this one because I'm going to do something with this. Okay, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to attempt to anyway fold this in like so, just kind of fall in the direction that the creases want me to go. So you see what we're doing here? We're just going to fold that in like that. And then you're going to see I'm going to have sort of something that looks like an arrow, the veins on an arrow. I'm going to take this part here and this part here. So now I have a nice little diamond. Okay, you're going to notice your diamond. It's going to have a couple of features here. The feature I want to point out is the open end of the diamond. It's the part where we have the opening here in the bottom. We're going to start folding from here. So I'm going to take and put this facing to my right. And then I'm going to take this corner, or this edge, and I'm going to place it along the center line of our paper here. And you'll know where that center line is because you have that nice crease that you made before. I'm going to try to make these corners down here on this end just look as nice as I possibly can. So that's not bad. That's what we're looking for there. If you've made a paper airplane before, you probably see something like that. All right. So same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and make a nice little crease there. Try to get those edges to touch each other so we can line them up nice and even for our future uses. All right, same thing on this side. I just flipped it over. This is going to be something we're going to do several times when we're making our cranes. We're just going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Spin it around to here. This kind of looks like a kite at this point, doesn't it? One of those old-timey kites you might see in a cartoon or a movie. All right, so we've got that. Now, this is one of my favorite parts, what we're going to do here next. Well, first, before we do one of my favorite parts, we do have to do a little bit of maintenance. We're going to get this little triangle up here at the top, and we're just going to fold that toward us along this line here. Just put a crease in it. Same thing on this side, and we're just going to fold that triangle over to the other side, put a little crease in it. We're putting those creases in. We'll use those creases later. All right, so now this is one of my favorite parts here. We're going to open this up just like this. All this thing we made before. And I always think when I do this, it looks like a frog. It's kind of opening its mouth like, I'm going to eat a fly. So anyway, we're going to open that up. And I'm going to use the creases that we made before on the inside here as a guide to sort of help me push this paper to the inside. And then I have my creases that I'm going to use up here to sort of do that. Push those in there. So we're going to push this side into here. Just sort of inverting everything we did before. Keeping things nice and neat. So I just pushed that in. I'll show you again on the other side because we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. We're going to open it up. Make our frog mouth. And then push this to the inside here. Push this to the inside here. It's going to give me a little trouble, but that's okay. We can work through it just by kind of tugging and pulling on the thing and making it follow that crease line in there. There we go. We did it. All right, now you're going to have a diamond. It's going to have a top, I like to call it. It may not be the top, but anyway, here it's got a couple little legs down here. We're going to start working on our little leg parts right here. So we're going to fold this part of the paper into the middle. So let's take that, and I'm trying to get this edge to match up with the center line of our paper here. So let's see. You see it kind of trying to match it up all the way down. Pay special close attention when you get down here in this part. You're going to have to try to make it as neat as you can. You don't want a big wad of paper down there, but we're starting to, as we fold more and more paper up, it gets thicker and thicker. That's why you'll find some origami paper is very thin. All right, now we're going to take the same thing on the other side. Fold that up, and I'm trying to be as careful as I can to make everything match up and look the same on both sides. Paying special close attention down here to these tips right here, right? Okay, there we go. And you guessed it, we're going to turn it over and do it on the other side. So let's do that there. Looking good, looking good. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Got some nice creases in there. One more to go, Scouts. Here we go. For this step anyway. Okay. So now we've got that little bit done. So now we're going to do a cool little trick here, all right? So what I want to happen is I want this part to be folded over in like this. I want to fold these parts in together. Same thing on this side. Fold these together. So I'm just going to sort of put my finger in here on this, so the top, and then put my finger on the bottom, and then I'm going to hold it like this. And I'm trying to get this sort of just to fold in on itself. As you can see here, I'm trying to keep everything nice and neat while I'm doing it. Let it fold along those creases that we made before. And you're going to end up with my second favorite part of the building of this. I'm just trying to make sure those little ears up there are going to be looking good. Got a little wonky, so I'm going to fix them. There we go. Just by pressing them down. Now, many people at this point will be like, wow, I've just made a cool spaceship, I'm done. Which it is pretty cool. I like that. So it's a nice little spaceship, but we are going to continue to make our crane. So we've done that. Now we're going to take the not the tail end of our spaceship over here, but our pointy front end of our spaceship, and we're just going to fold this flap up, and you'll know when you hit the end because you're going to right here and you'll feel it. It's right there. And we're going to put that up there, put a nice crease in it, and flip it over. Same thing on this side. All right, we're going to do that same thing we did before. We kind of put our fingers in here and fold these edges together like this. So I've got these kind of papers kind of coming together or trying to wad up here. I don't want them to wad up, so I'm just trying to help it a little bit by doing it one side at a time. Same thing here. And now we've got this here. Now this, my friends, is where it really gets cool, because you've hit the point now where you're going to start to see why this is going to be a crane. So here's what we're going to do. Go ahead and take your thumb and your forefinger and pinch this here. You're going to pinch it just on the other side of the center line here. Just pinch that there. Grab this little tab in here. Can you see that little tab right there? Pull that down. Pull it. You can see it, right? Who sees this yet? What we're doing. Now we've got this little point here, and I'm pretty proud of the way that turned out. It's looking really good. But I'm just going to take about that much of it. And I'm just going to put my thumbnail right under there. I'm just going to bend that down. And I'm going to bend it down to about a 45-degree angle. And we can kind of take our fingernail and poke down in there and sort of make a little indentation there, if you can see that. And that is our crane's head. And this is the coolest part when these things start to take shape. You're like, wow, I did all this paper folding, and now look, I've actually made something. And here's the crane's tail coming out. So I'm just holding here with my finger and sort of bending that down. You can feel it when it's about right. So both of those are coming out at a pretty good angle. I'm pretty pleased with that. And let's go ahead and take his wings down here. Here's wing number 1. And on the other side, we have wing number 2. Or the right wing and the left wing, if you will. All right. We'll pull those wings back up so he can fly. And now you want to give it a little bit of depth and a little bit of structure. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab his chest here and his tail. Like that. We're going to sort of make it look right, and then we're going to spin it around, grab these wings. I'll show you what I'm doing here on the bottom side. Is if you get really close into the body, you're going to put your fingers here where my thumbs are now. So we're going to put our fingers in really close to the body, and our thumbs are very close into the body, and you can just sort of pull on that, and it kind of opens that up. Isn't that cool? So I like to pull that out pretty far, and then kind of squeeze it back in a little bit, and it makes it look really cool. And there we have it. Origami crane. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us today for our little origami tutorial. Definitely encourage you to get out there and find some other instruction on how to do some paper folding. There's lots of cool projects you could do on a rainy day, or if you're just bored just with a piece of paper. you can do lots of cool things. You may have noticed I've folded a few cranes today. There's an old Japanese legend that says if you fold 1,000 cranes, you'll be granted good luck. So I got a few more to do, but thanks again on behalf of Dan Beard Council for joining us for another Scouting from Home video, and hope to see you next time.